Well, hello everybody. I'm Dr. Jonathan Hardy, and I'm very happy to have been invited by Homeopathy Musings to give a webinar series on a fascinating group of remedies, the Lanthanides. I'm sure you've all heard of them, and many of you will have experience with them. Why are we going to talk about the Lanthanides? Well, I think they're a very important group of remedies in the present time. It's interesting to think about their place in the world, these rare earth elements which are the center of significant political controversy right now. But also, at a more subtle level, their homeopathic application is absolutely fascinating. And of course, we owe all our knowledge of the Lanthanides to the genius of Dr. Scholten, who introduced them to us, I think, about 25 years ago now. And they're really an interesting group because of the nature of the people who need them. It's been said that quite a lot of homeopaths need Lanthanides, and I think that's true. It's not the commonest group that I've seen useful for homeopaths, but yes, it is. And why might that be? Well, because the number one theme in the Lanthanides is that of autonomy, isn't it? Is being independent. And a lot of homeopaths are fiercely independent, free thinkers, and that is a Lanthanide quality. They very much need to be free to express their individuality, their unique qualities and abilities. For them, often working for another is very difficult. Unless they're in a position of influence, they can be, one might say, the power behind the throne. They can be the ideas person, the thinker, in some terminology, you might say even the kind of mystic power behind the throne. And another important quality is, this theme of power, but the power is very much like hidden power, and at its deepest level, it's about one's inner power, about bringing out one's hidden qualities. So in that sense, it can be a spiritual search about gaining control of one's inner nature and shifting one's sense of identity away from a narrow sense of ego and self-centeredness to a more universal expression, universal expansion. And that overlaps with another important Lanthanide theme, which was of service, of giving service to humanity. Lanthanide people can be humanitarians and altruistic, have a very strong sense of wanting to serve others, and not just in a narrow sense, not just one's family or even one's community or even one's country. Very often they talk about making the planet a better place, about wanting to help humanity as a whole. So there's a kind of global conception. And there's also this sense of, spiritual development has a theme of the battle between light and dark, and wanting to bring out soul qualities, manifesting the positive side of one's nature, overcoming the shadow. And this is a theme that Jan Scholten brings out beautifully in his masterly work on the Lanthanides. And one thing he points out is that Lanthanide people take responsibility for their shadow. So for them, they don't point the finger outside of themselves and say, oh, it's their fault, or it's the fault of that law, or it's the fault of what has been done. they take responsibility for their state, and they say, I will look inside, I will make the changes in myself, I'll be the change that I want to see in the world. That very spiritual kind of attitude. And if we think about other remedy groups that are similar to the Lanthanides, the one that stands out is the Imponderables, which is a group that I've had a lot of exciting experience with in the last year, 18 months. I've seen nearly 30 cases of Imponderables. And the themes of light and dark, fighting the shadow, manifesting one's light, being a server of humanity, a global conception, or actually with the Lanthanides is more a universal conception. That's with the Imponderables rather. So that's one difference, but there's a lot of similarity there. And with row 7 of the periodic table, of course, the great sense of responsibility the Lanthanide people can feel, that's shared with row 7, and again the sense of an expanded awareness, serving the world as a whole. But we don't see the sense of dissolution and disintegration and multiple personalities that one sees in row 7 in the Lanthanides. And the universal conception in Imponderables is a more spiritual nature. Lanthanide people don't emphasize spirituality as much. They do to a degree, but often, we talk about them being humanitarians. They can even be humanists. So people have a deep love and care for humanity, but not necessarily a spiritual dimension in their life. They're searchers, they're looking for truth, looking for what's hidden, looking for what's going on in the inner world. For them, the inner world is in many ways more important than the outer world. And of course, if one heals one's inner state, then often the outer world responds accordingly and reflects back that greater sense of wholeness and health within, in terms of what you then attract to yourself, in terms of people and events and circumstances. And in the course, I'll be showing a number of different cases, many different cases from many different stages in the periodic table. And it's fascinating to see how these group themes of the row, when combined with the themes of the different stages in the periodic table, produce unique expressions. And we'll be looking at many different stages from the beginning to the end of the row. And this is, such a wonderful way of working, to understand remedy states in terms of the group themes, the common expressions, words, issues that you hear again and again, and they're quite easy to assimilate. They're fascinating, it's exciting, you can assimilate those concepts, and then when you're taking the case and you're being bombarded with this avalanche of data that can be so overwhelming, your mind, because it's assimilated these group themes, is automatically computing. And you'll find that suddenly at one point you say, those words, those expressions, I've heard those before, I've read about those before, this is a Lanthanide, or whatever the group is. And so you've narrowed the field down enormously, you're on the map. This is what makes homeopathy possible from my point of view. Exciting, but just doable. Without this kind of systematic approach, and also using miasm, kingdom themes, mineral themes, and then the beautiful understanding of the different stages in the periodic table, which is first pioneered by Scholten and which has been added to by many other genius minds. This is the exciting development in homeopathy, systematic working. And then, yes, of course, we use the repertory and the provings, materia medica, but using all those different tools can lead to reliable, predictable, good results with homeopathy. So I look forward enormously to sharing these cases with you and deepening our understanding of this group. And I hope you can join us.
Join us for the exclusive Lanthanides course with Dr. Jonathan Hardy. Starting from 31st July. Deep dive into this 4-session series and enrich your understanding. Early bird registration is open until 31st May. Don't miss this opportunity. Register now.